Hello, Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights fans. Andrew Mossbrooks joined alongside EHL head coach Josh Fusco, the assistant coach as well to the NAHL Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. But Fusco, we really haven't had a chance to talk about the EHL at all yet this season. You guys are 6-4-1, coming off a 7-0 win against Team Maryland. So first off, let's just kind of go right off a generic topic. How has the season been so far? And talk a little bit about your 7-0 win over Maryland.
The season it has peaks and valleys to
Right.
it. Obviously, we've got some good opponents, some weaker opponents, and it's been one of those things where we've just been trying to get that compete level at a consistency,
Right.
and staying consistent at a high compete level. Changing some things around, seeing what works, what doesn't work. Today the win going against Team Maryland after a little bit of a layoff, I think was the 7-0. Was a good showing.
Yeah.
It's something where we can kind of, get back on the right page. Work on the little things, shake the rust off, prepare for the next opponents that we have coming up, which are big opponents. And like I said, it's that peaks and valleys, and then you have good moments and bad moments, and you hit the roadblocks. And the great thing about that is it's the beginning of the year.
Right.
It's early in the season still, and that's ultimately where you kind of shake out all the bad things and get all the good things going.
I think it's different for everybody, but when you go through such a delay, you guys hadn't played in 10 or 11 days, and you go through that, the hardest part I think is when you go on that much of a delay with a loss. That's the hard part, and really the Knights organization right now, both the EHL and the NAHL team, you mentioned peaks and valleys. Right now in a bit of a valley. Both teams have been losing a few games, but your team is able to snap a 3-game losing streak today. Is it harder?
Very good,
Yeah. I mean, is it harder, do you think, to sit on a loss than a win like you have been the last week and a half?
That's a tough question because I've been on both ends of the stick here with that, and I think sitting on a loss, we were able to kind of stew and dwell on it here for 10, 11 days. You're going into practice, and it's kind of like one of those things where the guys are just like, hey, I'm so sick of practicing right now. I'm so sick of going over this. I'm so sick of doing this. I just want to play now. So I think it kind of benefited us going into today's game because they had the fuel and they were fired up, ready to go. We got off to a good start. We had some moments in the game where there were breakdowns, but overall the effort level was there. We kept our foot on the gas pedal, and I think having that 3-game losing streak kind of fueled that for us. Hey, this is a new start here, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it did benefit us. And I guess at the end of the day, it's one of those things where everybody kind of responds a little bit differently. Some teams are a little bit different, and I'm glad to see that. We responded the way we did today with that.
So, I guess it's fair to say, too, that, when you have that layover, it also gives you a chance to kind of sit back and analyze why are the losses happening.
Right,
and for some teams that say, we want to get right back out there the next day, well, if you're not able to notice your mistakes, what are you going to do to correct them 24 hours?
Yeah, and I think that was the good thing about this delay. I was really able to kind of just get nitty-gritty with the video. Pick it apart. We did video with the defensemen. We did video with the forwards. Did individual video with certain guys. We were actually able to kind of sit back, regroup a little bit. We changed the forecheck. We even went into that depth where we changed our forecheck up a little bit. We changed our penalty kill forecheck up a little bit.
Lines were mixed up a little bit.
Yep, mixed the lines up a little bit because we're able to watch a lot of hockey, a lot of video, and you're able to kind of pick those things apart and see what might be the next good thing for you, and I think it paid off, obviously today.
Well, part of that layover was because of the All-Star break, and the EHL, you and I talked about this before, I think it's a really neat opportunity that these kids get in the Eastern Hockey League because the All-Star weekend in the EHL is a weekend against Division III NCAA universities for hockey games, and for all the complaints and sour grapes that all-star games at the professional level get for being, we'll call them soft hockey, you really don't get that in this one because these kids want to beat these colleges.
Yeah.
Hunter Bersani was selected as the lone all-star for the Knights. So you look at Bersani's season right now in a microscope and you look at the opportunity. When I asked you, you said you believe he's one of the best players in this league. Why is that?
And I do, and I'll stand behind that. he's a competitor. He competes, he has drive. You don't have to say much to him. He's a hockey player. And obviously stat-wise, in making the All-Star team, it shows like he's one of the better, one of the best in the league, one of the best forwards in the league. But, you just watch him shift by shift. He doesn't take a shift off. He distributes the puck well. He's a good two-way center. He wins a lot of face-offs for us. He wears a letter. He's an assistant captain, so that speaks for him how he is off the ice in that locker room. With the younger guys, he's a leader. And just like I said, it's that compete at this level, tier 3 level. I mean, that's what separates some of these guys. That's what gets some of these guys committed. That's what gets some of these guys in the NA practices and maybe a call-up. It's all about how they compete, day in and day out, not just one shift here and one shift there. And hey, I stand behind those words, and he deserved that, and that was a big recognition for him and for our organization, and, the EHL.
Right. Well, okay. So you stand behind that. What about the All-Star game? Like, what do you think of it? Because I kind of gave my opinion. I think it's a really neat concept against NCAA universities.
Yeah, and last year obviously we spoke about it as a league, and that was the decision that they made. And they only did the one team last year, UMass Boston. This year They did the two. They had a couple college visits. They went up Thursday. They had a practice. Then they went on a couple college visits. Thursday night, I believe, Friday before the game, they played Plymouth State and then they played UMass. And I think that's a unique experience for these kids. I wish, maybe it could happen more often. But then again, the colleges use this for, one, a recruiting tool, and two, exhibition games for them. So it works out hand in hand. It's early in the year, so when I tell some people, hey, why don't you have games? We're on an All-Star break, and it's like, a month and a half into the season, But then you explain it, and it makes sense. And I think it's a great thing we do. I think it's a great thing the league has done. It's professional. They're a class act when they do it. They go out with all the bells and whistles, and our boys deserve that recognition. These kids deserve the recognition. Our league deserves that recognition. And it's again, you're going to compete to earn a job at the next level. Right. And that was ultimately for Hunter. That's we got a lot of recognition out of that weekend. I believe he had one goal.
Yep.
So he got a lot of recognition, a lot of eyes on him, and that's what it's all about.
Let's keep talking about the eyes on them, because if we continue to backtrack, the All-Star game is the reason why you guys had the layover.
Yep.
And then before the layover, you had the losing streak, the small losing streak. Before that, you were in Walpole, Massachusetts for the EHL Showcase. So you want to talk about a lot of eyes being on you. That's the event to have them there. So can you sort of review the Showcase event? We talked a little bit with head coach Tom Kowal on the NAHL Showcase in Blaine, Minnesota, and the Knights weren't successful in getting wins out there. You guys were at the EHL level, but what is it like at the Eastern Hockey League level? And I ask because I think in the tier 3, some people that are maybe on the outside looking in, they wonder, what kind of scouts are you going to see? What kind of universities are we talking about? What is all involved in an EHL Showcase event?
And again, it's I would put it similar to Blaine, more Division 3 scouts, but you do have a couple Division 1 schools there floating around. You see a couple NHL organizations floating around. Some scouts. And you got the whole mix, but I mean, it's just like Blaine. Like we walked off the ice after that first game, that first win, there, and it was like they were lined up right down the hallway. Yeah. Guys are just lined up right down the hallway, and you can see the look on these boys' faces. It was incredible. And for me, it's good to see that on them, and I'm just like, man, guys, welcome to the show. So, and you go in and you talk to them, you dress the team, and then you come out, and it's just like, I want to see this guy, I want to see this guy, hey, can you bring him so-and-so out? And, business cards are flying around and all that stuff, and, all the questions are being asked about, grades and all that stuff, so,
sort of a proud parent moment.
It really is, because when you come off and you see that the guys are at your door waiting for your players, that lets me know that I'm doing the right thing for these kids, and ultimately at the end of the day, that's what it is, we're trying to help these kids move on to the next step. And the EHL does a great job, the promotion of, our showcase events. We have 4 of them. The big one is that first one there in Walpole, and That's because, the schools aren't going yet, so everybody's allowed to get there. Everybody's able to get there. D1 schools are able to get there. Every Division III school known to man is there. It's a good showing, and again, it's all about showcasing and I think where people kind of get tied up, the NA does a great job with Blaine, and it's all about showcasing the league off because of the players, right? And the Eastern Hockey League kind of grasped that concept, and it's to showcase our players off and showcase our league off. Why? Because who's in the league? The players.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they don't make it all about themselves. They make it about the players, So, great event. Loved it.
Yeah. I think one more question that we'll go off of here, and this is going to be a hard one because we're asking these questions that kind of have multi-parts to it, and so let's just talk about junior hockey as a whole, for the landscape of it, because you and I had a conversation Sunday morning, early afternoon before your game against Maryland, and what a change this has seen in just the last 10 years. And the EHL, you believe, is really the premier league, obviously the EHL premier, but the EHL, the Eastern Hockey League, the premier league in Tier 3 junior hockey. Of course, you have the NOL as Tier 2 and the USHL for Tier 1. What, in your experiences with the EHL and the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights of the EHL, have led you to believe in this league and what they're doing?
The promotion of the players. I think that's the bottom line too, when it comes to leagues, right? The USHL is obviously a league of its own, Tier 1.
Yeah.
And look where their players go. So you kind of figure out what your base is for the league, and you stay within that realm. You stay within that structure. The EHL is and they're not afraid to say it, we're a dominant Division III, output.
Right.
Our players go to Division III schools. You do get some, over the years they've had Division I guys, but they don't look outside that. They stick with what works. They have all-class act organizations. Every organization is professional. Every organization, we line charts and, all the information about the players, your players on your roster, the game, how the games operate, our professional style. And so they do a really good job, and again, that's what people want to see. They want to see the professionalism. They want to see the compete level. There isn't 40 teams in the league, right? There's 19.
Yeah.
So you don't have a huge. It's not watered down. Every team is competitive, and I said it last year. And even this year, any night, anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah.
It really is like that.
People say that in the NHL, but when you really look at it, it's turned into a domino effect. It's kind of like that across junior and then obviously some of the lower levels of pro hockey.
Yeah, and so that's what obviously kids look at. They want to see where's the best spot for me to go to help me get to the next level. Obviously, we have the NA team here. So bringing our younger guys in to play on the East, they're playing in a good league, a very competitive league. They're playing against good hockey players, competitive hockey, right? So their development process is top notch here. We have the NA, we have, the EHL team. That's where our players are going to get the best situation possible for their promotion, their development as a young, athlete, on and off the ice. And that's a big focus for us as an organization is, you talk to colleges and scouts, like they want our players because we're in a good league, right? But they know what kind of kids they're getting.
Right.
They know what kind of kid is coming from the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights, and that's huge. That's what guys want. That's what the schools want, right? So it's like an employer in the real world.
Right. Exactly.
Kind of how it is.
Take the guy with the best experience, right?
Yeah.
So, and the Knights are certainly offering that. So the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights at the EHL level, sitting 6-4-1 after the first 11 games of the season. The NAHL Knights are back in here Thursday afternoon against the Johnstown Tomahawks. It's the first of 9 games between both the NAHL and the EHL Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights that will be played right here at Revolution Ice Center. But until then, that's all for this edition of Coaches Corner. EHL head coach and NAHL assistant coach Josh Fusco, thank you for your time.
Good, Andrew. Thank you.